happy Valentine's Day, viewers. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Let me tell you something. It's Valentine's Day, and it's a Guildcast episode. Um, I might sound a little unenthusiastic. Also, I might be alone today. I also might be really tired because I just woke up. I don't know. I just felt like recording early in the morning, or rather afternoon, because I work nights, so my schedule's a little topsy turvy. I also might sound extremely tired. It's what happens when you just kind of wake up, just kind of get going. I don't know. All the same, I just felt like communicating to some degree. I can't explain it. Also, something happened to me. It was amazing. But I'll get to that in a second because it's probably going to be one of the most pathetic things you ever heard. It's kind of sweet, though. So, anyways, yeah, I'm alone today. I was going to have Spider Mikey come in and kind of co-host the whole entire episode. It was going to be a really lame Valentine's Day episode. It was going to be fun for the whole family. Didn't happen. Didn't work out. That's okay. I'm not really begrudging it. Actually, what happened was we did record a part, but it turned out really cringeworthy and awkward. I don't want to say that that's not acceptable, because it is. I'm a little bit of a cringeworthy person. I make a lot of awkward statements. My voice is kind of cringeworthy, etc., etc. I think you get the point. I'm just saying, I think in order to save some, what's a good term for it? Awkwardness. Yeah, in order to save us some awkwardness and regret later down the road, I just decided to scrap it. For all intents and purposes, I think it'd be best that we just kind of leave it at that. I made that choice on behalf of Spider Mikey. He might have disagreed. He might have been like, "Oh, come on, man, that was the best episode ever. How could you do this to me?" What can I say, man? It didn't meet that level of quality that I really wanted to hit. But all the same, I think part of it was we were trying to go for a sort of topic on today's channel because, again, it's Valentine's Day, and it's a very awkward holiday for some, me included. It's kind of on the darker side of the feels. All that said, I don't think Valentine's Day is inherently a bad holiday. In fact, it's kind of sweet in a lot of ways, especially because if you're into romance and love, it's kind of that holiday. It's kind of a celebration for that. Not saying that that's what it originally was. I don't really know the history of Valentine's Day off the top of my... I don't know it off the top of my head, but all the same, Valentine's Day. Day of chocolate, day of love, day of romance. It is what you want it to be, essentially, in some regards. But, it's typically one of those three things. It might also be singles night. For me, it's definitely singles night. I don't really have any plans. Not really going to go out. Kind of lamenting that a little bit, but not so much in the sense that, man, I should have gotten a date. More so in the sense that, man, I'm single again. How much... Man, it feels so lame. It does feel really lame. It just kind of hits me right there in the feels. And I think I'm not alone on that. I think a lot of people get those kind of vibes. Excuse me while I take a swig of some water. Because that's what I got on the good old standby. Other than that, it's like me and Spider Mikey, we're going to talk about, I don't know, past experiences. But from my own past experiences of trying to talk about that kind of subject, it doesn't really translate well into words. I don't know, something about my mind's just not really able to phrase it the way I want to without it becoming really cringeworthy or awkward. It's problematic, to say the least, so I kind of avoid it for the most part, because when it comes to love, my luck is pretty bad. It also tends to go ironic if it's not bad. Like, for instance, back in high school, there was this one chick that kind of had some feelings for me. I kind of had some feelings for her. It was pretty mutual, but she ended up moving before anything could really happen. So that was pretty lame. Uh, Things like that, essentially, and it's unfortunate to say the least. So yeah, I mean, I guess I can take some. I guess I can take some inspiration by the fact that it's not exactly one of those situations where I can't like find something. If I look hard enough, I probably could. It's just that usually whenever that happens, it doesn't really work out too well in my favor. Last time I tried to do it, I was on a dating site and I got a couple dates out of it, and that was pretty cool. Namely, there was this one chick, and she wasn't too bad. She was pretty alright. She was a teacher, and I have nothing against that because that's a pretty good profession. It seemed kind of promising from the beginning, from like the first date, but turns out she had like 3 kids, and uh, not to say that I don't want to be bogged down or committed, because I kind of do, but all the same, 3 kids is a lot of responsibility, and it's a huge step to just kind of go into without really having any prior knowledge to kid raising, or not having any kids, especially because like there is this slight awkward factoid by single mother dating a single mother. Not saying that that should prevent you from dating anybody. It really shouldn't. The thing is, it makes me feel kind of awkward in certain ways, mainly because deep down, I just it kind of weirds me out. Because I was the kid in that situation. I was raised by my mom, and I love my mom. I'm kind of a mama's boy, I'm not gonna lie, but all the same, you know, if I date a single mother, it's kind of like, oh man, I was the kid in that relationship at one point. I know what it's like. It's kind of weird. Also, you do have to give a considerable amount of attention to the kid or kids, and I find any more than one, it becomes very daunting because you gotta kind of break up your focus and your attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just along the lines where it's a huge step in the dating process. It makes things really complicated from my experience, or at least my own opinion. My thoughts seem to dictate that, and I don't think I'm wrong in that. Although I'm pretty sure someone could argue that I am, and I don't know. I guess I'm not really the wisest expert when it comes to dating and relationships because I haven't really been in all that many. I mean, I have dated, not very much. I think you could say I've only dated about 2 people. Last one being last year. Still, that's progress, I would say. I made a little progress. Just didn't work out too well. And by the end of it, I mean, at least it broke off pretty well. It didn't really get into any sort of like argument territory. I didn't really fight with the person. So, I'm grateful for that. I'm not complaining. It just kind of didn't work out between us. She kind of just ended it. She was not really feeling it. And to my credit, the kid situation was just kind of looking really dreary on my part, so I was just kind of like, I don't know if I can really be into this. But she was a pretty cool person, so all the same, I do commend her. And it wasn't just because she ended up dating me for a small period of time. She was really interesting in a lot of ways. I enjoyed talking to her, so that was a bonus. And I got a little experience out of it, so that was kind of cool. But of course, I also had my first relationship that ended in rather, that ended rather badly. It was a little disastrous in a lot of ways. And I guess the best thing I could say, like the moral of the story, is be careful who you date. Also, you'll take things for granted and you won't realize it until something comes up. I say it's important to have standards whenever it comes to relationships. because I think standards are great. They're fantastic. And it's important to have an idea of what you're looking for. If you go in saying I'll take anything, you'll get anything, and it won't be satisfactory. It'll be kind of on the bad side. That's the best I can really say. Or at the very least, you'll be let down. Or rather, you could. It could work out in your benefit, but all the same, I think it's important to have an idea if you're ever looking for a significant other or what have you. It's important to have an idea what you kind of want to go for. Me, on the other hand, I really didn't have any idea, so I kind of was just like, I'll take anything. I'm sure it's all right. I'm sure it's all good. What's the worst that could happen? And by golly, let me tell you, I learned. But I don't really want to get too deep into it. It's a very awkward, cringeworthy subject. But I will say this. Something I learned out of that relationship, man, one thing super important is that list I mentioned, you'll probably add to it after you're done dating someone. And it won't necessarily be like, don't date this person again. Because although I do think that goes without saying, like I said, things that you may not think about, you take for granted, or etc. etc. Because there are things that you may not realize that you're kind of like, yeah, isn't this something? Isn't this like college common knowledge? Isn't it like just, yeah, that's it, it's all right. Turns out it's not. Not everyone is catered to that sort of subject. To be fair, I mean, it's pretty true in a lot of ways. No one's gonna really meet any sort of expectations, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So everyone's different. That said, I like the game Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. I think it's a fantastic game. I like to play it every year. I have a lot of fun playing it. And that said, let me tell you what happened when I suggested that to my ex. It didn't go over so well. She was dying a lot, I was getting through levels, and I don't claim to be an expert when it comes to Donkey Kong Country. I'm experienced. I played it here and there. I play it every year, and I know a couple secrets, and that's all cool. But she kept dying and dying, and she got really pissed off to the point she threw the controller across the room and started breaking down crying. Now, she does have a couple issues, so there's more to the story than just what I said, but I'll try to avoid that, to avoid getting through a cringy subject, because not fun. Don't really want to distract from the whole ideals that yeah, it was not fun playing Donkey Kong Country. I'm not suggesting that it's the greatest game ever. I'm just saying I really like it and I have a lot of fun. And it's the type of game I figure you don't have to be all that great and you can still have a good time. And it's the type of game, you can be like 3 years old, suck at the game, but you can have like a grand old time being like, hey, I'm having fun. And you can also like go through the minecart level that sucks balls. And, you die over and over again, but all the same, yeah, you kinda get frustrated together and you kinda laugh about it at the end of the day. Those things happen. I've done it with multiple friends. And I'm not saying that all my friends have to like have that kind of level of that like level of tolerance and the capacity to like also get frustrated but also enjoy themselves. I don't think that's reasonable. I'm just saying, it's a bonding experience. Video games, they can kind of be a bonding experience, and I kind of dig that about them, especially the old school games. That might get frustrating, but all the same, it's fun. Or it can be. I guess it's not for everybody, and I can understand that. But, my ex, it was one of those eye-opening moments where I'm just like, God, this relationship just went from bad to worse. Because it was already on the decline. Understand that. This wasn't the reason for the breakup. I don't want to give that impression. But it was definitely, I would say, a contributing factor. Not a big one, but I would say, man, things I never thought I'd have to add to my list of standards, has to enjoy Donkey Kong Country. Well, okay, maybe not Donkey Kong Country, but, you know, completely broke down while playing a video game. Because I may have been marginally better. May have been that reason. She may have not been, like, at the skill to make it alright. But point is, things you don't think about. That, and it kind of made me sad a little bit, because it's just one of those times where I'm like, I really didn't think Donkey Kong Country was capable of doing this. I thought it was a pretty alright game that we could both suck but have a good time playing, or at the very least, just bond over. Didn't happen, so that sucks. But it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, that that's the best romantic story I can really get into in terms of Valentine's Day, other than being like, man, this Valentine's Day is much like the rest. It's really dreary and depressing, and I don't know, something negative. Insert third negative thing here. But I'm not complaining too much, or rather, I'm not trying to complain too much. I'm not trying to bring everyone's levels down. There's aspects to it. There's good aspects. Some people really dig it, and who knows? It might be a reason to go get laid. People like that, right? I guess that might be a little too awkward. Some people might not really understand the whole concept of that. I'm not really trying to portray anything. Basically, Valentine's Day is kind of one of those weird holidays. Some people probably are like, oh, chocolate. To which I say, yeah, chocolate. I'm on a diet, so I can't even enjoy that aspect, So that sucks. I'm on a low sodium diet. It's going pretty well, though. No complaints here. I weighed myself yesterday. Turns out I'm 6 pounds less than I was the prior week. Did not plan that. It was just kind of something that happened. That's cool. It feels cool, It's like, hey, my weight is going down. All the same, I really shouldn't be focused on my weight. It's hard not to do, I think, just because I know it's happening, but all the same, it's kind of like, the main reason I'm on my diet, especially because it's low sodium, trying to lower my blood pressure, and I'm trying to hit it hard. I'm trying not to use medication, because that was the ultimatum that I was given by my doctor, or at least one of them. They straight up were not happy about my numbers, so they gave me an ultimatum where it's like, you got 3 months, lower your blood pressure, or, we're putting you on medication. Well, I guess the other choice was, we can put you on medication. So, yeah, that was basically the ultimatum. 3 months or the medication. And I chose 3 months because I was like, I can do this myself. I can manually get it down. I'm going to get it down. I don't need this medication bullcrap. It's my life. I choose what I want. I'm young. And that's the one argument about my blood pressure, It's really not something I should typically worry about until I was an old man, or if I was an old man, at the age of 60, which I don't know if that's really considerably old, but it's older, to say the least. It's in the older range of the middle age. I'd say you're on the outward side of the oldness, on the younger side of it, whatever. Basically, you're old. I would say I was old at that point. I'm not even halfway there, and they're saying I got high blood pressure. It's ridiculous. It sucks. But all the same, I'm getting it down, so it's good. It's good. Doing this diet has really helped me out in a lot of ways. So, yeah, the main reason I'm on this diet, blood pressure. Second reason, it makes me feel pretty good, to be honest. Like, I don't know the real reasons behind this. Like, I have no scientific knowledge to really back this up. But if I was to hypothesize, I think I might be really sensitive to salt and sodium. I think the only reason I say this, and it's very well, or it's very possible that it could be something that sodium, or at least the food that I was eating had in common is like it could have been something else, but for all intents and purposes, I'm still gonna blame the sodium on this one. But I feel a lot better. I don't feel nearly as bloated as I did because every time I'd eat it, I would get a little bit of indigestion. I would feel bloated. Anytime I tried to do some extensive physical activity, namely like walking, or like walking a set amount of distance, my hands would feel a bit swollen, which I think could be a sign of the high blood pressure. I would not deny it, but my point is, as I was getting like a lot of these minor yet annoying symptoms, I would deal with them, but all the same, it wasn't fun. I think that's really all I can say about it. It wasn't fun. Uh, and I knew deep down I was probably gonna have to change my ways because it's not the first time I've been in this situation. So yeah, I was kind of like, man, this sucks. But I'm making life changes now because I knew I was gonna have to cross this bridge again eventually. I don't know. I guess I have pretty shitty eating habits. That's really all I can say about it. So, yeah, I changed it. Now I'm on a diet, which I'd say is a temporary term because eventually I want to make this, just my life. I just want it to become a habit, and it's like this is my life. I cook for myself. I lowered my blood pressure. It's good. I also want to learn some new recipes to make a very palatable meal. Just because I don't know. I say just because I'm on a diet, or just because I eat this type of food doesn't mean that it can't taste good, and I don't see any reason that it shouldn't. That's really all I can say about it. It is what it is, I guess. But all the same, uh, I like food. I do like food, and if it tastes good, that's a bonus, and it's very preferable. Because otherwise, I mean, would you really want to stay on your diet? It's kind of hard to if it doesn't taste great, or at the very least, if it doesn't have flavor. Flavor is important, I'd say. But digressing. Diet and stuff. I should probably talk about it. I made some changes this month. February I decided I wanted to step it up a little bit because I want to do some cardio. Aside from dieting, I want to keep on like pushing the ball, keep on pushing forward, try to like get those numbers even lower if possible. And I guess it also should be said that another reason that I'm probably losing weight is because I'm actually trying to start doing cardio. That's what February is. It's cardio month. It's actually trying to get a little more physical activity in. Because I think the most important thing overall is getting your diet down. Because I hear it's like 80% of weight loss. It's like 80% of anything that you do in terms of trying to lose weight or trying to gain some muscle, or being on a diet essentially. It's like 80% of that, because that saying, you are what you eat. Well, basically, if you eat really good, you'll probably feel really good and you'll look really good. But if you eat really shitty, well, I guess there you go. So yeah, trying to eat well, that's what it's all about right now. Well, that's what it was all about. Now it's the cardio, because that, I'd say, like physical activity, going to the gym, running, doing whatever have you, all the physical activity. That's gonna help bring it down a lot sooner. But if you eat really shitty, well, you might just kind of be in like a limbo state, kind of a moot point. Hell, you might gain a lot of weight, but I would definitely say, for my money, it's all about the diet and then like trying to get some cardio in. And I have. I've done it twice. Excuse me as I yawned, because I'm still just waking up. But yeah, it's like trying to get some cardio in. It's important. It's also good for blood pressure. So I did it twice this month so far. I'm going on. Well, I went on a hike yesterday, so I guess I got a little cardio doing that. Hanging with a friend. That's kind of cool. So, so yeah, try to be physical a little bit. Try to get some activity. Oof. I guess this is the low point of the whole entire video. At least that's what my mind is saying. So yeah, I tried to run, getting a little bit better. Let me tell you, the first time you do it though, it's very embarrassing. But all the same, I say it's just a temporary feeling. That's kind of how it is doing first, like something for the first time. It's not gonna be all that great. In fact, you're probably gonna embarrass yourself, and it's not gonna be graceful in the slightest. I mean, there are those times, I guess, when you have natural skills, so it comes out well. I guess, but I don't think you should be embarrassed. First time for everything, it's probably gonna be bad. And that's okay, because it's a learning experience. I mean, you had no prior knowledge beforehand, so getting into it'll probably be bad. But the important thing is, if you really want to get into something, you got to start somewhere. And if you stick to it, it slowly gets better because you start getting more experience, you start getting practice at something, and all of a sudden, now you know what to do, and it's not so embarrassing. It's actually pretty legit. For me right now, that's running and jogging. I guess I should say more along the lines of jogging because that's really more more associated to what I'm doing. I mean, granted, I don't know if there's really a difference there, but I feel like jogging's a bit more appropriate to the whole terminology. It's good. It's good, even though it might be the most ungraceful thing ever. I like to the imagery I kind of associate my running to is basically looking at a beach well. It looks pathetic and you want to help it, but you're not quite sure you know how to or if you even can. Um, it's kind of just sad. That's the imagery I get. Even even so, it's like you got to start somewhere, and I'm trying, and it's going. I'm getting a little bit better every time I do it, even though it's only been twice. I'm thinking third time I'll get a little bit more in, and it'll be great. Get a little more running in, and it'll be great. I'll have to wait until next week though to really find out the results. But yeah, try to get that little extra in. It helps. Try to do a little bit more in terms of steps. It helps. Ugh. And so that's kind of where I am with my diet and exercise. Maybe someday I'll join a gym. I don't know. I really don't want to spend the money on that. I'm not saying it's a waste of money or anything like that. I'm just saying I really don't want to spend the money. I'm not really trying to like build muscle either. That might sound funny, but yeah, I got a pretty physical job as it is. I think I'm fine with just that, even though it's not really capable of helping my other stuff. I just kind of want to focus on the blood pressure. That's really all it's been about. That's really all I'm trying to do. I really don't think I need to join a gym to do that. Although I will say it's a great place to get some cardio in regardless. Say it's a rainy day, like a really bad day, or it's really stormy. Could go to a gym and just use their treadmill or any of their other exercise equipment to really help get in your cardio in kind of a closed environment. It's nice. I guess the alternative is I could buy myself a treadmill or something, but that's kind of expensive. Or I could get one of those cheapo ones. Those are a lot less expensive, but all the same. Um, I don't know. I feel like I don't need to, and I don't mind running in the rain. Oof. I don't mind running in the rain. Rain is pretty alright. I think it's a pretty good I think it's all right regardless of how you look at it. I mean, it's Washington. It's not like a downpour. If it was a downpour, then I guess I could understand. But rain is rain. It's not too bad either. So I haven't really been like, oh man, this is terrible. I can't go running. It's just been like, I don't know, typical rain, typical Seattle rain, that to sprinkling. So it hasn't been ranging from very hard. And I mean, it hasn't been like an obstacle either way. I just kind of walk through that, run through it. It's good. I like it. Whew. So moving onward, uh, if any of you know any good recipes, any low sodium recipes, or have any ideas, and you want to list it down below, by all means, I'm curious. I could use some more inspiration. Cause I like to cook, and because I'm on a diet, I it really benefits a lot to kind of have a knack for cooking. Not that I'm a great chef, and not that I make anything really appetizing. It's just that uh, it's good to cook for yourself, especially in that regard of a diet. And I'm learning a couple things. For instance, quinoa. Quinoa is it's excellent. It's a good surrogate to like rice. Because I mean, in some forms, it's always good to get some carbs, but all the same, it's very important that you kind of watch what you get for carbs. I'd say like quinoa, lentils, uh, brown rice. That stuff's really good, and I eat that stuff because it's good. It's good. I like it. I like it in comparison to like I don't know a slice of bread or something. I've been trying to avoid bread, not particularly because like I have to. In fact, I'd say what I do. I probably could give myself a little bit of slack, but the thing about bread is usually it has a bit of sodium, whereas like if I try to prepare myself some quinoa or lentils or what is it, brown rice, it pretty much doesn't have any sodium. At least what I see on the back of the package is like zero sodium. So, uh, yeah, from that regard, it's just kind of like, why? I don't need to. It's all good. I'll go for the no sodium option. It's the better choice, really, at the end of the day. And I think we could all agree it's the best way to go about it. Especially because every time like I have myself a meal, I try to limit myself to about 600 milligrams. It's not like I need to. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I'd say I could probably give myself a little bit of slack. And from what I understand, a good range is somewhere between 1,500 milligrams to about I think 24, or according to the wiki that I looked at, that's about the range of low sodium. For me, I try to aim for about 1,800. Well, I don't aim for it, but that I limit myself to about 600 milligrams per meal. Because I say that's a pretty good range, and it also gives me a good perspective of an extra 100, not to limit myself. It's I'd say it's very good for everybody involved, especially me. So yeah, I try to limit myself, and it's good. It's good for me. And it also allows me a nice little selection during breakfast, which I haven't eaten yet, and I still have to figure out what I'm gonna have. And I'm thinking it's gonna be an omelet, cause I like omelets. Omelets are great, and I eat a lot of omelets. And there is some sodium in eggs, but it's to the point where it can totally hit the 600 milligram range, because there's a little bit of sodium in eggs. Depending on what you get, it can range from like 70 to 90 milligrams, which doesn't sound like a lot. And that's the thing about sodium, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it all adds up. I know because every time I want to have a bowl of cereal, I gotta be super cautious. Also, I can only have Cheerios because it's like the lowest in sodium in comparison to everything that I've seen. A lot of other things they have above like 150. Cheerios, it has like 140, which I know it doesn't sound like a huge amount. In fact, it doesn't even like reach a quarter of my goal, but it's almost. And also, you gotta understand, it all adds up. Cause say I want to have like Cheerios, I also have to have some sort of liquid based substance, milk for instance. Although I don't really do dairy. Not I mean it's a little beneficial to the diet to kind of avoid dairy all entirely. Although on my cheat meals I do have ice cream because I try to allow myself that much slack. Also I like cheat meals. They're great. I'd say they're very good motivation to try to get through the week, just keep at it, because once you can finally sink your teeth into, like, I don't know, say a burger or pizza, it feels that much more rewarding. It also has a lot of flavor. It's just like, oh, it's so good. And you kind of have to savor it a little bit more. I mean, I guess you could eat it like no tomorrow, but uh, savor that. It's important. So yeah, I do that occasionally, especially with the ice cream. It's my favorite dessert. I gotta savor it every chance I get, because I really, really like it. Although I guess I should mix it up, because if I just have ice cream, I'm gonna neglect myself from having, like, cake or pie or what have you. Uh, and I only want one per meal, if at all. And even then, I'm trying to be cautious because sodium has an adverse effect on me now. It just makes me really, really lazy and unmotivated. And in some cases, I kind of lose my appetite, which is weird because, uh, granted, it's important not to feel hungry on a diet, but there are times when I've gone a large amount of the day without really eating, and that's not good. I know that sounds weird, but it's important to eat and eat consistently on a diet. It's important to kind of get your caloric values in check. It's important for maintaining a metabolism. I guess sodium in it just throws the whole system out of whack. It's crazy. Or at least that's how it feels. Again, I don't really have any scientific I don't really have any scientific evidence to really suggest this, but I do have my experiences, so I guess that's good enough, right? um, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, this sucks. I had a bowl of chili last week. Did not help me out in the slightest. I also had some cake and ice cream. That didn't really help me out in the slightest. I was not gonna have cake. It was just gonna stick to some ice cream. The reason there was cake was it was the Super Bowl. That just happened. So yeah, basically my grandparents they ended up getting a cake, and I was like, oh, how can I not? I gotta have a small slice, so I did. It was good. It was good. I paid for it, but it was good. At least I'm still losing weight, so I guess it didn't affect me that much, and I controlled myself enough, so that's good. But boy, let me tell you, shouldn't have done that. And I'm also thinking, man, if I can kind of avoid a cheat meal like to a certain degree, I think it's also really good. If I can kind of limit things, I think that would also be good. Or at the very least, if I can make a cheat meal where I cook a lot of it and add like more, like if I'm a little more open to the ingredients that I choose, especially like salt and stuff like that, so that I don't have to cut the flavor, I think that would also be pretty beneficial. But I gotta be careful about that, especially because if I'm cooking, you tend to make a lot, so you end up having leftovers, and that's the thing about the cheat meal. I don't really want leftovers, cause that's extra that I'm gonna have to deal with in one form or another If I can pawn it off, great, but don't necessarily have that capability or that possibility always. So it's haphazardous one way or another. Oh man, I haven't even had my cheat meal this week. I don't even know what it's gonna be. I'm kind of in a dilemma. Whew. I mean, I guess best case scenario, like Sunday rolls around and I'm just like, should I get a pizza and maybe I get myself a small pizza or something like that. That'd be the best case scenario. Get a little bit of ice cream on top of that. That'd be pretty good. I might do that, but the thing is, after I go hiking, I think my friend wants to get food, so chances are that might be where I end up getting a cheat meal. But that's all right. I'm fine with that. So long as I can get some ice cream afterwards, I think it'll be a pretty good day regardless. I'm not really sure what I want though. I'm not really sure what the plan is. All I know is that we're going to a nice little hike, and afterwards, it's hard to say. I know after that, I gotta come home and I gotta clean house a little bit because I got another friend coming over and I gotta go cook for them. They're also on a diet, so I think what I can make would coincide with what they can have, and it'll be good. Maybe I can even impress them. So, anyways, I digress for a little bit. Something did happen to me as I woke up, and I guess you could say it was motivation for recording early in the morning. Because man, let me tell you something. Going back to the subject, Valentine's. I got a Valentine's Day card. But don't look into that too much because let me tell you something. When I say I got a Valentine's Day card, I got a Valentine's Day card from my mom. To which I say, man, isn't that sad? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's good because it's my mom. I love my mom. She's cool like that, but it's like, man, it's not like it's from a secret admirer or anything like that. It's just my mom. But yeah, my mom, she gave me a Valentine's Day card, and oh god, she wrote all over it. Um, so something to say. It's like she's in the card. She's telling me she'll be back May 4th. And apparently we're gonna do our taxes together. I got my form and all that, so I'm ready to give my taxes. I'll get a tax return. That's pretty cool. She said Valentine's Day is a heart day to send hearts. Hope your Valentine's Day is special. Spoiler alert, it probably won't be. As you are so heart, I love you. See you soon. That was from my mom. Also, she included a key to her car. Not to her heart, her car. The main reason being is she leaves her car over here. She lives like 5 hours away in eastern Washington in a desolated part called Tenasket. Nothing wrong with Tenasket. She's very nomadic up there. And she likes it. She's living off the grid. And I have nothing but the most respect for that because it's very admirable. Not anyone can just do that. And she makes it work. And it's great. Anyways, my stepdad kind of brings her over because she has to go over a mountain pass and it's a little treacherous during the winter solstice, especially because it's really icy and it snows a lot, and her vehicle can only do so much. So during the latter half of a year, she'll usually bring her car over here, drop it off, be like, "Hey, can you run this for I don't know, like 30 minutes every other day or something?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I can do that." She didn't leave her key, so it's been sitting for a couple weeks, but it should be fine. I'll probably run it like tomorrow or something. Sunday. Probably Sunday. Tomorrow's really busy, but Sunday I could probably do that. I'll probably be good. But yeah, I got a Valentine's Day card from my mom. Oof. I'll probably have to give my grandparents some chocolate or something like that. I'll probably will do that. I think I might go to the store later tonight. Try to get some ingredients, especially because if I'm gonna cook for someone, I want to make sure I have everything available. I also kind of want to experiment a little bit. Got I got an orange sauce that I was working on, so hopefully it all turns out well. I mean, if nothing else, I'd say it's a good opportunity to really just like get in there and be like, does it mix? And if it doesn't, I guess I'm never trying that again. Also, I might have one less friend. But hey, it is what it is. Can't blame me for trying, in in order to really know what I got going on here, I have to find out. I have to know, does it blend? And if it doesn't, well, I guess I failed on multiple fronts. So yeah, cooking is a good experiment for everybody involved. Sometimes, half the time, not at all. Okay, no, really, about half the time. I got like 50% success rate. Sometimes when my mind is being creative, I can make something really good, or it can turn out really bad. But I'm gonna try to stick to the positives here, and I'm gonna use some fresh basil because I got into gardening last year, and it's going pretty well. There's not a whole lot to say. I did a little bit of hydroponics this year. I grew some basil from a mason jar. I got my light and everything, so I can do that. And you know what? At least I got fresh basil. I should probably grow some more stuff, but it's getting close to the beginning of the year where I can start really getting into gardening, so that'll be good. And I look forward to that because I got some ideas that I want to try this year. One is growing some pumpkins so I can make some pumpkin pie. That'll be great. That'll be my cheat meal right there and then. And I'll be happy because I'll be like, oh man, I made this. And also, I know I can pawn it off to people. So, worst case scenario, I just end up being like, man, I hope it all turns out well. And if it doesn't, well, here you go. You can have my leftovers because it turned out terrible. But I'll leave that out so that they don't know. Likewise, if it turns out well, I mean, then I guess there's nothing to be ashamed of, right? I I like that I'm kind of portraying myself as a terrible chef. I'm an all right chef. I don't want to give the impression that I don't know how to cook. I do. I could be better. That's really what I have to say at the end of the day. So yeah, it is what it is. But all the same, I do enjoy cooking, especially now because at least I can put my skills to the test, and there's a reason for it, and it's good. Uh, at least I can really savor it to a certain degree, so that's good. But look, thinking of another topic, because trying to move away from Valentine's Day, because I can only talk about it for so much, and trying to move away from my diet and cooking, I guess, because I can only talk about that so much. So yeah, gardening this year, I think it's gonna be good because I got a lot of seeds, I got a lot of things I want to try, and I got a whole bag of just like stuff that I got last year that I couldn't really grow because it was too late into the season. So this year, I think it'll be really good because I can just try my luck at growing like a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't really have any access to last year because it was too late. So this year, I don't know. I'll grow some corn. I'll grow some pumpkins. I'll grow a watermelon if I can because I kind of want to. Hopefully, it turns out well. Let's see. I have a whole bunch of leafy vegetables that I want to grow, and I got some pepper that I also want to grow, and I think it'll all be good. At least I hope. That's what I'm gonna tell myself. I hope it'll all be good because this is like something that I did, and what's the worst that could possibly happen, right? I digress. Gardening, like I don't know, gardening like there is kind of a reward to gardening. Like it's a very rewarding hobby, and I enjoy doing it. It's very it kind of brings out the Zen vibes, and I like that. It's a good feeling for everybody involved, and I like gardening. So I'm gonna keep on doing that. I had a lot of good experiences doing it last year. I'm gonna keep on doing that this year. And so, other than that, I got some basil. It's been helping with a lot of my cooking. It's a good herb. I like it. And other than that, let's see. I think my mom was saying I should grow some ginger so I can harvest the root, because ginger root is great, and I also use a lot of that for my cooking. It's sort of expensive. I don't know how I would go about that. I wonder if I can just plant the root into the ground and it'll just naturally grow. Probably not, but you never know. I'll have to take a little inspiration and look a little deep on the whole with that. It's hard to say what'll happen. So outside that, let's see. I guess the only thing I can really add to all this, because it's like still trying to think what I got going on for you guys, and like what there is to talk about. Because I didn't come in with a whole lot of inspiration today, other than, man, Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm feeling a little depressed about that. I mean, I guess I'm not feeling super depressed, only so, which is all right. It is what it is. Let's see. Gaming's going all right, I guess. I mean, I do kind of enjoy it. It's one of my favorite pastime hobbies. Still playing that Digimon game. Of course, what you're watching is probably Catherine, because I decided that'd be a good tie into Valentine's Day. But yeah, I'm still playing the Digimon game. I'm having kind of like okay experiences with it. I'm not saying it's great, but at the same time, I get the slight vibe that Persona 5 kind of gives me a lot better feels out of it. I get a lot better experience playing Persona 5 than to do this game, because there it I feel like there's some relatability when it comes to playing Digimon Cyber Sleuth Hacker Memory. I haven't played the prequel. The reviews seem to say that it's pretty good. It seems to get an additional star in comparison to Hacker Memory, although I don't know. I've only played Hacker Memory. Maybe Cyber Sleuth has like some fantastical plot, and it really pushes the envelope, and that's why Hacker Memory exists, because the first game did so well, and this one was only like they only put half the effort into it, because it's like, it's Digimon. We added more Digimon. That's the only appealing thing, right? Right? Um, I would say the Digimon are pretty alright. I got my King Edamon. I got my Edamon first off, because I have only the utmost like love for that guy, because he's great. But I got my King Edamon and I was not happy. His special move, while it is a pretty good debuff, it just doesn't do what I need it to do, man. It's just like, I really wish I had some sort of offensive spell here, some sort of offense ability, because that those are great. Persona 5 had like one of those guys that I was like, oh man, this guy has a really cool debuff. It has the best debuff because it debuffs everything. Um, and it was really good. It lowers all the stats. And the thing about Persona 5 in comparison to like King Edamon in this game, in Persona 5, the thing about it was, when you use the debuff on bosses, for instance, they'll just keep wasting time trying to rebuff themselves. So, you could cheese out bosses a lot using that method. It was great. I remember getting to like a lot of the end game bosses, and I would just like constantly recast this debuff with the trumpeter in Persona 5, and I'd have a lot of fun. I'd be like, oh man, look at this exploit. To be honest, I don't know if it's really all that much of an exploit, because it would work half the time. I'd find sometimes bosses would focus on just trying to rebuff themselves, and sometimes they would just like act like nothing happened. But it was fun all the same. And then you play Digimon, and I'm like, this isn't terrible, but I wish you had an offensive spell. Whew. So yeah, Digimon, fun game, but plot wise, I'm just kind of like, man, everything feels really rinse and repeat. I mean, whenever I do get a lot of plot, like it's trying to be plot intensive, it's not terrible. It's interesting. I'm kind of curious where they're going with this because I haven't beaten the game and I thought I was getting close to them, but turns out I have like a whole quarter of the game left. So, lo and behold, I still have a lot to do. And there's still a lot of plot to go through. And I guess the other side to it is, will the payoff be interesting? Because, there is some curiosity. I'm not sure where they're going with this, but, I am definitely having a much better time playing it than Final Fantasy 3. Because not Final Fantasy 3, 13. Final Fantasy 13. Now, while I could rip on the game, let me just say this. When I was playing Final Fantasy 13 for the first time, there was a lot of confusion. Because half the plot is in the data log that constantly keeps getting updated as you go. In other words, in order to really get the true ambiance and true experience of Final Fantasy 13, you have to read a small essay every time you beat something. Every time you do a thing, every time the plot advances, you have to read a small essay. Now, some people might dig that, but me, on the other hand, it might be stereotypical to some extent, and it might sound really lame. Some people might be like, man, it's good to read. But when I play my video games, I'm not in it to read. I'm in it to experience. And it's totally different from reading dialogue from an NPC or something. I don't mind that. I don't mind NPC dialogue. And I don't mind the story trying to, make itself a little better with a little bit of monologuing or a little bit of dialogue. A paragraph isn't too bad. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. I know the intro to Final Fantasy, even though, it took a while, and you cross the bridge, you get a little bit of narrative in text form. And, it enhances everything. And I didn't mind that. But the thing is, when you gotta read a small essay, it totally breaks the immersion for one. It also feels really lame. It's just, I want to play the game, I want to play the game. I don't want to stop and read a book every time I do a thing. I don't want to read a chapter in a book every time I do a thing. That's better terminology. It's just, I want to experience the game. That's why I play it. To experience it. To immerse myself. To get out of real world responsibilities. Or at the very least escape them. Because, that's how I feel about it. It's a fun experience. But no, Final Fantasy 13, it's just plot, go read about it. Plot, and now you gotta go read to really understand the whole side of everything. Whew. So, as I was saying, I'm not gonna rant about it. Yeah, alright, I admit. Playing Final Fantasy 13, tried to comprehend as much as I could, because there are stuff you can try to comprehend, even though you decide to skip most of the dialogue. For all intents and purposes, it just helps explain all the events that are happening at the moment. I went through it. I was curious enough to be like, okay, alright, there's gotta be some sort of payoff here. There's gotta be something at the end of the game. There's gotta be at least some sort of explanation, right? Digressing aside, Final Fantasy 13, no, I don't know if I can say that's digressing. Moving along, Final Fantasy 13. There was one thing I was really curious about when it came to the plot, and that was the fact that, okay, for most of the game, they don't know if they're trying to bring on the apocalypse of the world or prevent it. It's the big mystery. They claim this pretty much early in the beginning. They're like, we got this vision because the giant Lucille or whatever, they're like, they give you a vision and you gotta go do it, or you turn into a techno zombie, and if you do it, you turn into Crystal. It's a really weird setup, but whatever, don't question it. That's just what the game does. So yeah, you do that, and you wonder, and you're like, oh man, well, are they trying to bring on the apocalypse or trying to prevent it? Halfway through, they kind of come into agreement that they're supposed to cause it. So you're like, okay, all right, how are they gonna get around this? And you know what? You got this Pope guy, and he's like, you can't beat me. Go ahead, try to stop me. And then try like if you do that, you can go fight this guy called Orphan. You defeat Orphan, guess what happens? The apocalypse. But you'll never beat me. You just toss them basically like that. And they're like, oh, we're going to punch you in the face. And then we're going to punch Orphan in the face. And it's like, no, you fools. You're going to cause the apocalypse. Isn't that what you're, like, lamenting half the game? Because they do. Yeah, some of them just straight up get depressed. They're like, how can we do this? We're going to kill millions and millions of people. And yet they're like, let's go punch Orphan in the face and just straight up choke that bitch. Because if they die, it'll save a bunch of people from, the government, because they keep trying to persecute, like, everybody, and it's bad. All the same, we'll kill everybody, but never mind that, and I'm just, like, going through the game being like, if they do the thing, they'll cause the thing, and it's bad. And I was just like, where is this going, game? You want to clue me in? I don't want to read no data log on this. I just want to experience how it all collide, like how it all comes together. What is the ending gonna be like? Which, let me tell you, bullshit does not make the game better. Sure, it does resolve itself with bullshit, and it resolves itself. Let me assure you, it's a happy ending, but it does it with bullshit that they do, like, at the last second. And it's the type of bullshit that, I could read the dialogue, and I'm sure it would explain it through and through. But let me tell you the other perspective I have with Final Fantasy 13. Explaining bullshit does not make it any less bullshit. It's still bullshit. It's just explained bullshit. Okay, if you want to do that, try to explain the final boss of Final Fantasy 9 that comes out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure they did, but it doesn't change the fact that it literally comes out of nowhere. I mean, you had a really good final boss. That was Kuja, and you do fight him at the end. But lo and behold, once that battle's over, it's like, true final boss. Here you go fight him. Hopes and dreams of everything in the universe rest upon you beating this guy. But little spoiler for you. You can beat the final boss, but you can't kill it because it's immortal and it's basically a god. It can't die, essentially. So yeah, Final Fantasy 9 kind of did the whole bullshit, and I think if you go look at the wiki or something, they do explain something. There's an article talking about it, so there's the explanation. But at the end of the day, it's still out of nowhere. Still feels a little bullshit like, and I mean that doesn't change the fact that it is so. So yeah, Final Fantasy 13. I have a lot of negative feels about it, and I could rant about it some more, but I don't know. I might save that for another day. I like the Final Fantasy series. I mean, there's a lot of good experiences I have with Final Fantasy. I like Final Fantasy 7 especially, but, to avoid sounding like a stereotypical fanboy, I also like Final Fantasy 6. I like Final Fantasy, the first game. I've played and beaten these games except 6. I still need to go beat 6. But I had a lot of fun playing 6. I just got to this one moment where I'm just like, man, I was not expecting this. I'm kind of at a point of no return. Um, I did beat 1, and I beat 3, and I had a lot of fun with 3. But there were some moments where I was just like, man, this is a little monotonous. I played 4. 4 was really good. I think it was a better love story than 8. Ironically, I did not beat 4. I did beat 8 though. I don't know if I can really say that was ironic. I think it's a little ironic. 8 was basically a game focused on a love story. I remember playing it as a teenager and being like, this isn't so bad, but I remember beforehand, I really did not like the game because there was a lot of mechanics I did not like. Like the whole drawing system, that was kind of bullshit, and the whole monster getting powered up as you level up, that was kind of stupid. I heard later they don't scale; they just have phases. Like they'll be like phase. I don't know. They have 3 or 4 phases as you level up. If you hit a certain point, they get powered up to a certain point. And I remember it was kind of annoying, but that's not the real issue here. It's like basically a system where they become too powerful as no, not too powerful. They still become quite beatable. It's just that it's more beneficial if you're a low level, from what I hear. Cause I mean, since they don't get powered up nearly as much, and you got like access to a lot of high end abilities, cause you can break yourself at a very low level, and it's great. But I remember part of that is you gotta play the card game. I don't want to play no card game. Final Fantasy, man. Uh, I guess that's where I'm gonna end it. I don't really have a lot to say other than I like Final Fantasy. It's a good series. I do want to do a little more Let's Play when it comes to Final Fantasy. I mean, I have plans to. I am doing World of Final Fantasy on my original channel. It's a fun experience. It's a never ending experience. It's still going on at this point in time. But I am getting closer to the end, so it's wrapping up. It'll wrap up. I can't say how long it's going to take me, but it's coming together, and that's good. Other than that, I mean, I guess, yeah, I said I was going to end it. I got to go check on the laundry. I did a load of laundry before I came here. Didn't do too much else, though. Still waking up, and I got to get myself some breakfast. So, in light of things, I hope you have a fantastical Valentine's Day. I hope you actually have plans and you're not doing the whole solo thing like singles night. But if you are, I hope you're keeping yourself entertained and you're trying not to let it get you too down. I'm there. I'm trying to rectify the whole situation by, I don't know, finding something. I can't have chocolate. So if anything, please have some chocolate for me because I can't have any because I'm on my diet. Sucks. Maybe for my cheat meal, I will get myself some chocolate ice cream to kind of make up for that factoid. That's the only saving grace I can think of. So, anyways, other than that, you guys have a fantastical time, week. You guys have a fantastical week. Have a fantastical time on Valentine's Day. I hope. Try not to let it get you too down if you're in my position. And if anything else, stay safe, stay well. All right, I'm out. Later, everybody.